Do you really understand why getting married again after 70 so often brings more disappointment than joy? If you're in your 70s and considering saying, "I do," once more, this might be the most valuable video you watch today. At first glance, a second marriage feels like a fresh start, a renewed chance at love and companionship. But what if I told you that for a surprising number of seniors, it slowly becomes a source of stress, loss, and deep regret? Because once you move into your later years, the risks of remarrying change completely, and what looks like romance can quickly turn into financial strain, emotional exhaustion, or serious legal trouble. This isn't about negativity. It's about wisdom. It's about protecting the life you spent decades building. Maybe someone's encouraging you to remarry, or maybe you're feeling alone and longing for company. There's nothing wrong with that. But before you walk toward that altar again, there are truths you need to hear, truths many older adults only discover when the damage is already done. This video isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to help you make a clear, thoughtful decision about your future. So if you've ever wondered whether remarrying later in life is truly a good idea, stay with me, because the final point may completely transform the way you think about love, trust, and independence after 70. Falling in love in your 70s can feel like a gift, someone to share meals with, talk to, and simply exist alongside. But what most older adults don't expect is how quickly remarriage at this age can unravel the financial safety they've spent decades creating. You've worked a lifetime to build your nest egg, your retirement savings, your pension, your home. And with one signature, one wedding ceremony, all of that can be put at risk. Not necessarily because your new spouse has bad intentions, but because marriage legally binds your financial lives together. If they have debt, unpaid medical bills, or children counting on support, you may suddenly be responsible for those obligations, whether you want to be or not. Many seniors assume that keeping bank accounts separate protects them, but that isn't always how the system works. A second marriage can cause you to lose certain benefits, including survivor benefits, pension entitlements, or Medicaid support. I've seen situations where a woman remarried and unintentionally lost the Social Security benefits she relied on from her late husband, and she didn't learn about it until the payments ended. Then there's inheritance. You may have children or grandchildren you want to leave something for. But without clear legal planning, your assets can automatically shift to your new spouse or their family. Even the healthiest relationships can change over time. Families argue. Promises fade. And suddenly the legacy you hope to pass on slips out of your grasp. The emotional weight of financial stress in later life can be overwhelming. Seniors who end up financially strained often feel anxious, embarrassed, and powerless. They may hide their situation from family. Their hard-won independence slowly crumbles, and the marriage that once brought comfort becomes a constant reminder of unexpected loss. Take Ellen, for example. At 74, she remarried a kind man she met through her church. She believed they were simply starting a peaceful chapter together. What she didn't realize was that he carried medical debt and had little savings. Within 2 years, she was using her own retirement fund to cover his expenses. Her children were devastated when they learned she had changed her will under pressure. What began as companionship became financial fear. In your 70s, financial stability isn't just a number. It's peace, dignity, and the ability to live life on your own terms. Love may be comforting, but the financial consequences of remarriage can be life-altering. If you've managed to maintain stability up to this point, take a deep breath before signing anything. Your heart may say, yes, but make sure your wallet isn't quietly saying, please don't. When you remarry after 70, you're not just sharing love, you're sharing someone else's health journey, even if you're not aware of it at first. At this age, medical concerns are not occasional issues, they're part of daily life. You may already be dealing with your own list of health needs, medications, doctor visits, mobility challenges, dietary restrictions. These require energy and attention. Now imagine adding someone else's health responsibilities on top of that, especially if their needs are more serious than yours. That means more appointments, more medications to manage, more emotional weight on your shoulders. It often starts small. Maybe they need reminders to take their pills, or help getting dressed. But with time, that small assistance often turns into full-time caregiving. And caregiving in your 70s isn't just tiring, it can be dangerous for your own well-being. Studies show that older caregivers frequently neglect their own health. They skip appointments, sleep poorly, lose social connections, and experience more stress. Their health declines quietly because they're focused entirely on their spouse. That's exactly what happened to Patricia, a woman I met at a senior community center. She remarried at 76 and felt like she'd found her perfect companion. But after her husband suffered a minor stroke within the first year, she found herself lifting him, bathing him, handling therapy schedules, all while ignoring her worsening knee pain and vision problems. When she finally reached out for help, she was emotionally drained and physically struggling. She told me, "I didn't know love could feel this heavy at my age." Here's the truth people don't talk about: you cannot care for someone else if it destroys your own health in the process. Your strength matters, more now than ever. Remarriage might promise companionship, but without clear boundaries and honest communication, it can slowly turn into a responsibility you never intended to take on. So before you say yes again, ask yourself: am I capable of taking on another person's health needs, not just today, but every day moving forward? If you feel uncertainty, listen to it. Your well-being is not selfish, it's essential. If you're still watching, comment number 2 below so I know you're with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, tap that button and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming videos. One of the biggest hidden dangers of remarriage after 70 isn't emotional or financial, it's legal. Most seniors don't know how drastically marriage alters their legal landscape, and the consequences can last long after they're gone. Let's begin with inheritance. You might have spent years organizing your will, assigning beneficiaries, and planning what each family member will receive. But in many regions, a new spouse is entitled to a significant portion of your estate, even if your will states otherwise. This means your children or grandchildren may inherit far less, or may have to fight in court for what you intended for them. And it doesn't stop there. Remarrying can change your Social Security benefits, especially survivor benefits from a previous spouse. Many women unknowingly lose crucial monthly income when they remarry. That steady check they relied on. It can disappear simply because of a new marriage license. Then there's medical decision-making. If you fall ill or become unable to speak for yourself, your new spouse typically becomes your legal decision-maker, even if your children know your wishes better. And if your children don't get along with your new partner, the conflict can become tragic. Carol, an 81-year-old woman, lived through such a situation. She remarried a kind man from her church. But when she became seriously ill, her new husband had the legal power to make medical decisions. Her daughter strongly disagreed with those choices. The family ended up in court, fighting over Carol's healthcare and over the house she had planned to leave to her grandchildren. Carol once admitted, "I wanted comfort in my final years, but I created a disaster I never saw coming." Many seniors avoid discussing legal details because it feels unromantic or complicated. But getting married at 70 or 80 isn't just a romantic step, it's a legal one with far-reaching implications. Clear thinking protects you, your peace, and your family. If your legacy matters to you, do not overlook the legal web that comes with remarriage. What begins as companionship can unintentionally escalate into legal chaos. By the time you reach your 70s, the greatest reward you've earned isn't material, it's freedom. Freedom to wake when you want, spend your day how you choose, and create a life that matches your personal rhythm. After decades of raising families, working, compromising, and caring for others, this stage of life is finally meant to be yours. But remarriage can quietly take that freedom away. When you were younger, compromise made sense, you were building a shared life. But now, your routines and preferences have been shaped by years of experience. You know what keeps you comfortable, calm, and happy. Sharing your space again can disrupt that balance. Maybe your new spouse watches TV all morning while you prefer silence. Maybe they need 3 structured meals a day while you've grown used to lighter, simpler eating. These differences seem small at first, but they accumulate. Before long, your peaceful environment becomes filled with friction. There's also emotional responsibility, listening, explaining, adjusting. Suddenly you're spending your energy managing another person's feelings, or navigating their family dynamics, instead of enjoying the activities that fulfill you. Alone time becomes something you have to negotiate rather than something that comes naturally. Florence, a 76-year-old widow, learned this the hard way. She remarried after 5 years alone and initially loved the sense of companionship. But months later, she found herself missing her quiet mornings, her spontaneous travel plans, and even the temperature she preferred in her own home. "I didn't mind compromise when I was younger," she told me. "But now, every little compromise feels like a small loss." This doesn't mean that love or companionship is wrong. It simply means you must ask yourself whether you are willing to give up independence at this stage of life. Sometimes peace and personal space are worth more than partnership. If you're still watching, comment number 4 below and make sure you're subscribed for more helpful content. Remarrying at 70 can bring companionship, but financially, it often introduces complexity, instability, and long-term risk. When you're younger, combining finances may help you build a future together. But in your 70s, your financial focus shifts from building to protecting. And remarriage can undo decades of careful planning. Money at this stage represents stability, autonomy, and the ability to make choices freely. But marriage merges your financial lives in ways many seniors don't anticipate. Your income, benefits, and assets may become shared depending on the laws in your region. Unless every detail is formally documented, you can lose control quickly. Consider blended families. If your new spouse has children, they may expect or legally receive part of your estate unless you set up clear protections. Without explicit wills, prenuptial agreements, and well-structured estate plans, your passing may leave behind confusion, conflict, and resentment among the people you love most. Or imagine this: you've paid off your home and saved responsibly. But your new spouse brings debt, or spends differently, or wants to financially support their adult children. Suddenly, your savings aren't fully yours anymore. One shared account or one co-signed document can expose your entire financial life. Gerald, 82, lived through this. After losing his first wife, he remarried without thinking much about finances. Within 2 years, he was covering his new wife's medical bills, lending money to her grown son, and eventually selling the vacation home he'd intended to leave to his own daughter. "All I wanted was company," he said. "But I ended up sacrificing half my future." Remarriage isn't always financially harmful. But without clarity, planning, and protection, it can be far riskier than many seniors realize. At this stage of life, there's no room for financial uncertainty. Before merging your life with someone else's, ask yourself whether you are ready to manage that complexity, and whether it's worth the risk. By the time we reach our 70s, we've endured challenges most people never see. We've experienced love, loss, joy, and hardship. And at this stage of life, decisions aren't about gaining something new, they're about preserving what matters most. Remarriage is not simply a matter of companionship. It's a deeply personal choice about how you want to live the years ahead. Loneliness is real. The desire for connection never fades. But meaningful companionship doesn't always require marriage. Strong friendships, family bonds, community involvement, these can bring joy without sacrificing your independence or security. Many older adults who remarried later in life later admitted they missed their freedom more than they expected. They wished they had taken more time to understand what they truly needed instead of doing what society told them was normal. Once you're over 70, you don't owe anyone proof of anything. You don't need marriage to validate your worth. You are already whole. So before you say, "I do," pause and tell yourself, "I deserve." You deserve peace. You deserve comfort. You deserve the life that fits you, not the life others expect you to create. Thank you for spending time with us today. Share one thing you learned in the comments, and how you plan to use it moving forward. Your words matter to us more than you know. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share so we can continue creating content that informs and inspires. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.